Paula, good Shabbos. Sorry, that was loud for everyone else, I guess. Yeah. So excited that Paula is here. Hear her dad read Torah today. We know who the favorite is. It's and we shall have wings like a bird. Fly and we shall be free.
Good Shabbos, everyone. Shabbat Shalom. That was the energy I was looking for. So we can try it again. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
so good to see you all this morning and to kind of take a break from what's happening in our lives, whether it's school ending. I know a lot of people got out of school this week, whether it's summer plans, there's a lot of transitions. He's my personal microphone person. There's a lot of transitions happening right now with moving into summer and vacations, and it's just so nice to all be here together to celebrate Shabbat together. And to take a moment of rest and of peace from the rest of the world. So we are going to begin on page 50, at the bottom of the page with Hareini Mikabel Alai, which is a beautiful way to just begin services. It says, I hereby take unto myself the commandment of the Creator to love your fellow person as yourself. So it's just a beautiful way to begin Shabbat.
So every day we begin, traditionally with Moda, Moda Ani, every day we begin with gratitude. No matter how we woke up, no matter how grumpy we woke up, no matter how much we desperately were needing that cup of coffee, 20 minutes before we woke up, in order to be human with the people around us. No matter the aches and the pains and the loss and the sorrow, whatever there is in our life, traditionally, Jewishly, we begin with gratitude. We begin just by pausing whatever there is right now that we can be grateful for. So invite everyone to think of something. You don't have to share it, don't worry, but later you can share. Take a moment to think of something, someone, some relationship, something that you're feeling grateful for. Something else. And something else. Page 51. Ruach been studying on Tuesday nights, 5:30 on Zoom, if anyone wants to join us. We've been studying what we study when we study the Torah, which is to say we've been studying the history of what Jews talk about when we talk Torah. And one of the themes that has emerged and again when we look at these commentaries is that they are always political. We just sometimes have forgotten about the politics of these moments. So we have Elohai Neshama on page 51, probably added into our Siddur as the most political of statements. Living in a world where we were told we were wrong, where we were sinful, where it was built into who we were. The rabbi said that every morning we would say, Elohai Neshama Shenatata Bi Tehorahi. Every morning we would pause, we would take a breath, and we would say that we are always pure. There is always this version of our soul, this version of who we could yet become, that we can return to, that we can make our way towards. That no matter who we have been, no matter who we've been with strangers, no matter who we've been with the people we are most intimate with, no matter who we've been with commerce and with business, we can always yet become that other version of ourselves. Elohai Neshama Shenatata Bi Tehorahi. There is always that version of us waiting for us to become. Elohai Neshama Shenatata Bi Tehorahi. Elohai Neshama Shenatata Bi Tehorahi. Elohai Neshama Shenatata Bi
So we continue with the theme of gratitude on page 53 with our morning blessings. These are things that maybe happen in our lives, things that we don't always think about as blessings, but they help bring us closer to gratitude and to thankfulness for the ways our bodies work and for the way things are supposed to work in this world.
Page 53. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ruach haolam, she'asani b'tzalmo. Blessed are you, the eternal our God, who has created me in your image. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ruach haolam, she'asani ben chorin. Blessed are you, the eternal our God, who has made me free. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ruach haolam, she'asani Yisrael. Blessed are you, the eternal our God, who has made me Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ruach haolam, pokeach ivrim. Blessed are you, the eternal our God, who opens the eyes of the blind. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ruach haolam, malbish arumim. Blessed are you, the eternal our God, who provides clothes for the needy. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ruach haolam, hanoten li'ayef koach. Blessed are you, the eternal our God, who gives strength to the weak. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ruach haolam, asher ichin mitzadei gaver. Blessed are you, the eternal our God, who guides the steps of human beings. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ruach haolam. The blessings from our week. We're excited for you to read Torah.
Yeah.
And not to play favorites, but mostly I'm excited that Paula's here. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ruach haolam. Wow. Happy birthday.
First birthday? Aww.
What's his name? Cooper. Happy birthday, Cooper. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ruach haolam. Yeah, Paula. Hey, mazel tov on a new job.
That's a blessing.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ruach haolam.
The sun is shining.
The sun is shining and summer is here and school is out.
Yeah. All good things.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ruach haolam. Hey,
Yay.
happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
I feel like we should do it camp style, make you skip around the room and stand on your head and, you know, they have you pick your nose at the end. We'll do the whole thing. It'll be... wow.
So, we continue on page 55. These are different verses of Psalms that help us sort of celebrate Shabbat in a way. They let us let go of the shmuz. If you want to get up and dance, you can get up and dance. But they're really meant to be another form of prayer, another way to warm up for the rest of our service. So if you want to get up, you are encouraged to get up and move around a little bit. So we make our way into the Shema and its blessings on page 59. And I'd like to invite everyone to rise as we join together in the words of the Baruch Hu. The Baruch Hu is one of the prayers that you have to have a minyan to say. You have to have 10 people, which basically means you need community. Like, we need each other. We need people to come together, to listen to each other. And so this is that moment where we gather together, where we see each other, where we recognize each other, and we begin prayer together.
Say Shema, before we take a moment to let that which separates us fade away into the oneness which connects us. First, we take a moment for radical smallness, for exhaling, for zooming out on our lives, on our existence. I sort of think of Yotzer Or as the inverse of a panic attack. For those who've had a panic attack, and they're not fun if you've had one, the smallest things begin to feel so weighty that you can't carry them. The smallest details become so overwhelming, so all-consuming. Yotzer Or calls us to back away from our lives, to see even the weightiest things, even the real things, even the heavy things, as just a blip, as just a speck of dust in a very large cosmos. And hopefully, that makes it just a little easier to breathe. Page 60, let's read together. Baruch atah Adonai Yotzer Or Uvarei Choshech, Osei Shalom Uvarei Et Hakol, Hamayir La'aretz V'Ladarim Aleha Berachamim, Uvtuvo Mechadesh Bechol Yom Tamid Ma'aseh Bereshit, Marabu Ma'asecha Adonai, Kulam B'chochma Asita, Malah Ha'aretz Kinyanecha, Tibarach Adonai Eloheinu, Al Shevach Maaseh Yadecha, V'al Me'orei Or, Shasita Yifarucha, Selah. Baruch Atah Adonai, Yotzer HaMe'orot. Baruch Atah Adonai,
We are going to turn a couple pages to the Shema on page 64. This is a poem I've shared before, but not in a while. It came from a High Holy Day prayer book. I really love it. It says, Adonai is not a shepherd, and I am not God's sheep. No monarch greedy for my praise is worthy of my prayers. Oneness that exploded into cosmos, spun the double helix over eons of evolution, made all things beautiful in their time, gave me intellect and initiative to envision oneness, a single chain of life, a single human family, and myself one part, responsible and responsive. If it is your custom to do so, you may rise for the Shema.
Or you can remain seated or lay down if you'd like. We won't judge you. This is CRC. No one's even going to give you a second look. You lay down. It's... Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
You may be seated.
Page 65. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ושוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
So we are going to continue on page 68 with the Micha Mocha. These are words we said after we crossed to freedom on the other shore of the sea when we were slaves in Egypt. And you know, sometimes maybe this is a rabbi thing, but maybe not. I sometimes wonder what it must have felt like to be one of those people trying to escape Egypt, to be enslaved, to witness the plagues, and then to finally be given this whole new life. I imagine it was probably pretty difficult for the Israelites to leave Egypt and to finally have that taste of freedom that they'd never had. What does that look like? Who's going to tell them what to do? So there's a poem called You Have Stayed, and it says, "You have stayed long enough in this place," God said. "It's time to go forward. Turn your face to the future. Believe that you can cross the sea and survive. Inside you is a Moses, within you Miriam dances unafraid. Lift up your voice and sing a new song." So I think sometimes we need that extra little push to face our future. And the Micha Mocha reminds us that we can't stay in the same place forever. Page 70, we make our way into Tefillah. I just have one more poem to share with you all. This is by Stacy Zizuk Robinson. She writes, I find God in my doubt, in the struggle to be the absolute best of me, and in my fear that I find only my worst. I wrestle and am restless, and I wander, rootless, exiled, barricaded by silence. God of hosts and light and mercy, God of the desert and unseen edges, God of my devotion and my rebellion, open my lips that I may declare your praise. We are on page 70, and as you are able, please rise.
Adonai, Sifata Tifta, Uvia Gitehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Leah, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Bilha, Elohei Zilpa, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. Page 73. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה כה אתה רב להושיע. And it's definitely summer. מוריד הטל, מחכה חיים בחסד, מחיה הכל ברחמים רבים. סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומדומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיה הכל. Page 74. מקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה אל זה ואמר, קדוש 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוא כל הארץ כבודו. אדיר אדירנו אדוני, אדוננו מאדיר, שמך בכל הארץ, ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו. אחד הוא אלוהינו, הוא אבינו מלכנו, הוא מושיענו והוא ישמיענו, ברחמיו לעיני כל חי. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהי ציון, לדור ודור. הללויה. לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש. ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. You may be seated. So Vishamru always makes me think of toilet paper. No, it does. It really does. So who's ever experienced like a traditional Shabbat before? Where you've been with a traditional household, right? So one of the things you discover at a home that observes Shabbat in a traditional way is next to the toilets, you didn't know you were getting so much potty talk today. Next to the toilets, there'll be a like thing of toilet paper that looks like tissue that you pull out, right? Because traditionally you're not even supposed to tear toilet paper on Shabbat. Now, this can seem a little absurd, I think, if you're not used to this. But the idea is that for 25 hours a week, for one day, for one cosmic day, one day determined by the flow of the earth and the sun and the seasons, that for one cosmic day, you pause and you not change the world around you. You not control the world around you. You not believe that this world was created for us to master. But instead, for one day, you see yourself, we see ourselves as just another passenger on this great spaceship we call Earth. Page 76. Vishamru vene Israel eta Shabbat lahasot era Shabbat ledoratam berit olam beni uven bnei Israel oti leolam oti leolam vishamru bnei Israel eta Shabbat lahasot era Shabbat ledoratam berit olam כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם וביום השביעי וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש שבת ויהי נפש ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
At the end of the tefillah part of our service on page 79, we have a prayer for peace. I think we always need more peace in this world. I think anybody who watches the news or reads the newspaper or anything knows how badly we need more peace and love in our world. So this kind of caps off the end of tefillah. We have these prayers that are communal and personal, and this one's really to go out into the world and make the world a better place.
שים שלום טובה וברכה שים שלום טובה וברכה שים שלום טובה וברכה שים שלום טובה וברכה חן וחסד, חן וחסד ורחמים עלינו ועל כל ישראל, אמן. שים שלום, טובה וברכה. שים שלום, טובה וברכה. שים שלום, טובה וברכה. שים שלום, טובה וברכה. Take a moment for the private prayers of our hearts. שלום במרומה, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל ואמרו Jenny, too, if folks would like the words. Ose shalom bimroma, yase shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel.
We begin our Torah service on page 83, and there are a couple special people I'd like to invite up. To help us begin our Torah service, I'd like to invite up Haley and Allison Doran. So come on up. Come on up. It's okay. So they are sisters, and in a few moments we will be giving them Hebrew names, which is very exciting. But first, we are going to have them help us take out the Torah. So if everyone will please rise. We're on page 83. We're going to go here. So we are going to say some blessings, and then you get to carry the Torah around, and then we'll give you your Hebrew name. Okay? So we are going to start together in the middle of page 83 with the Shema, these words that we say throughout our service, words that really sort of capture what Judaism is and why we read from the Torah. So,
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo.
come back down, and everybody will touch the Torah. Okay? I'll go walk with you. We'll get this way.
And our drummer's not here, so if anyone wants to come bang on this drum up here, come on up. It was Jenny Mann for a long time.
I'll take it. Thanks, Jenny. Okay, you may all be seated. You may all have a seat, except for the two of you. So this is a really special moment to give you a Hebrew name. There's a beautiful teaching. It's in Midrash Tanhuma, which Midrashim are written to fill in the gaps. And it says that every person is given 3 names. One their parents give them, one their friends call them, and one that they acquire for themselves. So this is a name you have acquired for yourselves because you have picked these names. You have picked your own Hebrew name, which is such a special thing to do. And I know it's hard to pick a name for yourself, actually. I'm sure that there's lots of thought and thinking about who you are and what represents you that goes into picking a name. So, do you want to share the names or do you want me to share your names that you've chosen? You want me to do it? Okay. So Haley has chosen Riva Elisheva Tsedev, and Allison has chosen Atalia Miriam Talori. Do you want to share anything about these names? Do you want to speak?
Okay.
Yeah, tell us why you picked these names.
I picked my name because it's similar to the one I already have, and then I picked Miriam because it was my grandmother's name before she passed. So.
Perfect. I love it. Do you want to share about your name, why you picked it, or what it means to you? Do you want Allison to share about your name?
I don't know what it
Riva. That's okay, just say why you picked it. It doesn't matter. What did these names mean to you?
I picked Riva and Tzedef because they represent the ocean, and I really like the ocean and just what comes from the ocean and things like that. And then I picked the other one because it's just my middle name already. So
it's beautiful. You both picked really meaningful, beautiful names that really capture who you are, and these will be names that you will use throughout your life. So let's give you these names. So this Torah portion, which Larry's going to read for us in just a few moments, has a really special blessing within it. It has what's called the priestly benediction. It's a blessing that we say at the end of every service here. So I would first like to give you that blessing as we say your Hebrew name. So once again, Haley, you are going to be Riva Elisheva Tzedev, and Allison, you are going to be Atalia Miriam Talori. So when you get called up to the Torah, whenever you need these names, they will be there for you. And I have certificates for you that have your names on them. So you will always have your Hebrew names and a way to mark this moment. But I know we're all so honored to be here with you for this moment and to give you these Hebrew names. So we're going to outstretch our arms. If you want to put your arms out as we bless these two wonderful people with these words that we say all the time, but we're going to make them especially special for the two of you because it comes from this week's Torah portion. And I think that means there's a reason that you are getting your names this week on this Torah portion because it's all about blessings and the blessings that you give to us and the blessings we give to you and the ability to receive blessings. So we'll say, Yevarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May you be blessed and may you be kept safe. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka.
May you always have light in your world, and may you always know that there is a community and a Jewish people out there for you in your most joyous of times and your toughest of times.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. And whether you are here, whether you are out in the world, whether you are a million miles away, we wish you the blessing of peace. It's the most powerful blessing we can give, that you have a peaceful life and loving life, and that hopefully you'll share it with us here at CRC. We say amen.
Amen.
So we have one more blessing. Do you want to say anything? Okay. So we have one more blessing that we tend to do at these moments. It's called the Shehechianu, and it's a blessing for this moment in time. It says, "Blessed are you, holy present in our universe, who has given us life, kept us safe, and through one miracle after another, brought us together to celebrate this joyous and perfect moment in time." So he's going to play the blessing for you.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shechianu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh
use them in so many blessings, and we hope we get to hear them all the time at CRC. So, Mazel Tov. Happy for you all.
Simen Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Simen Tov, Simen Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Simen Tov, Simen Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Simen Tov, Yelanu. So Larry, you've been working on this for a while. A Torah reading, a Torah teaching. He told me earlier that he was more nervous than a bar mitzvah student. So
I don't know if that's true. There's some out here that might argue with you on that point. Okay.
So I asked Paula and Sue to come
Come on up. So the blessing before the Torah reading is on page 84.
And our good friends Lisa and Stan to do the blessing before and after the Torah reading.
So Ya'amdu. Hebrew names.
Margalit,
Margalit Bat. What's your Hebrew name?
Elias,
Eliezer ve. Lisa ve. Sue ve. Sholem. Oh, that's a good Hebrew name for you. It's Liah. Page 84.
Et Adonai HaMorach
Baruch Adonai Baruch
Baruch Adonai HaMorach Le'olam Va'ed Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Baka Banu Mikol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu et Torato Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Amen.
V'hishbiah ota hakohen v'amar el ha'isha imlo shachav ish otach v'imlo satit tuma tachat ishech hinaki mimei hamarim ha'ele v'ad kisati tachat ishech v'chi nitmeid v'yitain ish boch et shechavto mibaladei ishech v'hishbiah hakohen et ha'isha b'shvuat ha'alah v'amar hakohen l'isha yitain Adonai otach la'alah v'lishvuah b'toch amech b'ateit Adonai et yerechech nofelet v'et bitnech tzava uva'u hamayim hama'ararim ha'eleh b'me'ayich latzbot beten v'lanpil yarech v'amra ha'isha amen amen v'chatav et ha'alot ha'eleh ha'kohen ba'sefer u'macha el mei hamarim v'hishka et ha'isha et mei hamarim hama'ararim uva hamayim hama'ararim limarim v'lakach hakohen miyad ha'isha et minchat hakanaot v'heniv et hamincha lifnei Adonai v'hikriv ota el hamizbeach v'kamatz hakohen min hamincha et askarata v'hiktir hamincha V'achar yashke et ha'isha et hamayim v'hishka et hamayim v'hayata imnit ma'ah v'tim o me'al v'isha uva hamayim hama'ararim l'marim v'tzav tav v'na v'nafla yirecha v'hayata ha'isha la'ala b'kerev amaha v'im lo nitma'ah ha'isha, well, I know that, okay, v'im lo nitma'ah ha'isha u'tohorahi v'nikta v'nizra'a zara zo torat hakanaot asher tisteh isha tachat isha v'nitma'ah o ish asher ta'avor alav ruach kin'ah v'kinei et ishto v'he'emid et ha'isha lifnei Adonai v'asa la hakohen et kol haTorah hazod v'nika ha'ish me'avon v'ha'isha hahu v'ha'isha hahu tisa et avona. And then, as an added benefit, Vayedaber Adonai el Moshe lemor, daber el Aharon v'el banav lemor, ko tevarchu et bnei Yisrael amor lahem, Yevarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha, Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka, Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom, v'samu et shemi al bnei Yisrael v'ani avarchem.
Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam ata b'toheinu, Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
So, hopefully, I have not timed this out, so I can't tell you how long I'll take. But
It's
what I did,
43 pages.
yeah. No. But what I did give you in a handout, and I should have said this before I started reading, was one is a translation of the whole Sotah section of Torah and this parsha, and the other was what I had read from the Sotah. So just as a brief explanation before I go into some commentary, this is a ritual in Nassau, our portion, that's considered, well, it is, fairly patriarchal and misogynistic. It talks about the incident where if a man is jealous that his wife may have committed adultery, that there is a ritual that the wife goes through to drink some what's called bitter water in the Hebrew, and to see if certain things happen, if her stomach distends, and it says if her thigh sags, which in the translation, one of the commentators said the thigh was symbolic or euphemism for the reproductive organs for the woman. So if after drinking this water, these certain things happen, then she is considered to have been guilty of betraying her husband. If not, she's considered innocent. And it's the only section of Torah where an ordeal of this nature is employed or used or talked about. Because in other ancient times, there were a lot of ordeals among the different groups that were used. So in approaching this, I looked mainly at comments that I got through Google and Bing from Reform rabbis. I did not look at the Mishnah and the Torah. And what you learn from Daniel when he teaches Torah is that he talks about how our commentary and our learning of Torah is from one generation to the next, and it's a communication. And it's not that we are set with the absolute words of Torah, but through interpretations we develop our own meanings. And frankly, I learned this, I grew up in a conservative synagogue, and I always thought Torah, the word was supposedly the word from God, and what was in it was to be taken literally. And then as an undergraduate, I had a course from a gentleman, J.B. Pritchard, who was a famed archaeologist, who explained and taught how different parts of Torah were literally taken from other cultures and societies at the time, and through other observations that might have been polyistic. And of course, then at the same time you learn that Torah was not written by one source, by one person, but over 500 to 700 years, and was developed through different Jewish traditions. So it's not always the same. So let's look at this a little bit. On this ritual, there are very negatives when you first look at it. It's exceptionally one-sided. The ritual only applies to women. The woman is never asked what happened. She's never asked for her side of the story. And a man can accuse his wife because he's jealous, and he may have no evidence whatsoever that she's betrayed him. So this is a ritual also because he has no evidence. He cannot take her in front of the Beit Din, which was the house for judgment, where a woman could be adjudged by evidence of being unfaithful. The other thing is the man is never held to account if there's a false accusation. And if a woman is determined by this ritual or otherwise to have had an affair, there's never an accounting for how about the man who had the affair with her. So, as one other aside, some commentators talked about the ritual only be applied if the woman was, quote, showing signs of having been pregnant, and the man claims he had no sexual relations with his wife during the time of conception. Another commentary called it an abortifact, and that it was tied to reproduction. So there are different ways of looking at this story. One of which, from one of the rabbis, is to just say, sometimes we learn from Torah to reject what we find offensive or what is not applicable anymore. And in this case, he looked at this and he said, this is a repulsive or very distasteful process. So what we should learn from the Sota is not to treat women like we're treated through this procedure, but to treat women as we think they should be treated, to treat them as equal persons who should have autonomy and say over their bodies and agencies over what they're about. So that way of looking at this Torah is to reject it and to do the opposite. But another way of looking at the Sota ritual is to look at other things that are in it that may not align with the customs of the time or the other rituals of the time. So one thing to remember is that that the line of descent at the time was through the woman, giving birth. And it was very important through Torah and the times of Torah that the passing of the estate, so to speak, of the family went through the man. So that can be a reason why this ritual came up. But the other thing to look at is this whole ritual takes all of the judgment away from the formal judicial proceedings, from the Beit Din. And it takes it to be a procedure between a priest and the woman, and the priest acting on behalf of God. And it takes it from being a communal issue to being one more of a private affair, where if the woman has decided to have betrayed the man, that she is embarrassed and there is some punishment, but it's not the punishment the Beit Din would give out. It is not a stoning to death. And so in many ways, this ritual takes this accusation, which may be very important, away from the harshest kinds of judgment. And it takes it away from man judging. And some of the commentators thought this was a ritual that really was advanced in some ways, because it took the ritual away from the Beit Din, and it was a way of protecting the woman from unreasonable suspicions and from false allegations. There's also evidence that after the first temple was destroyed, that the ritual was never employed, that it was so offensive even to generations of rabbis thousands of years ago that it was ignored. But one woman had other observations. She was not a rabbi, but she was a doctor of divinity. And in her adult bat mitzvah, she did a devar on the sota. And she made, besides some of these common observations, she made additional observations. One of which was that the drink of bitterness was a combination of holy water and earth. And in Torah, humanity was supposed to have derived from the earth. So in some ways, the symbol to be used was to be a symbol of creation, but also was to show God's justice. Another part of the whole ritual was the woman was to bring barley, a certain amount of barley, to the priest for a priestly sacrifice. And what the woman who wrote this devar talked about was barley being a grain, was a symbol of God's bounty. If the woman was innocent, it was determined she was fertile, just like the land would be fertile. Although if guilty, she was to be barren, as the land had been brought barren in drought. But this places the judgment on the woman in the hands of God. And most important to the woman who made this observation that I hadn't read from others was that it really represents that the woman who is accused has a special connection with God, and represents that God then views her as worthy or unworthy, and views her as any other person. And she took from this ritual that every person should be afforded God's both power and his mercy, no matter what the circumstances, and that the community does not always override individual considerations of the person and their relationship to God. So that's certainly taking a ritual that on the surface to us appears to be very misogynistic, very much contrary to everything we stand for, at least here, but takes it to a level of saying, even in those times, there were aspects of this ritual that should be taken, that women in some way, in their own way at that time, were given some level of protection and some level of having their interests taken into account. Now, one of the other things, a couple of things I thought about. One commentator said to me that, in some ways, that we kind of could pass over the Sota ritual and just look at other aspects of Naso. Like last week, the bat mitzvah, Natalie, talked about the Nazarite, the ascetic portion, and also the priestly blessing that so many congregations have turned into very wonderful blessings among themselves, and is often given by parents to children. But the other thing is that you can look at, because unfortunately within our own society, there are forces just as patriarchal, just as misogynistic, and just as uncaring, or I think, uncaring and cruel to individuals, to look at that and their efforts to pass customs laws that would be negative and undermine the agency of women, or the agencies of people who choose to love persons that the dominant group or the dominant people don't approve of, or to identify in ways they don't approve. And that with this ritual being somewhat lessening of some of the harshest means of acting at that time, is to always work to undermine, to make the negative things, to make the cruel judgments less impactful, to do whatever you can to make things somewhat more survivable. But it also leads in the way that the first rabbi said, thank you, I'm done almost. Thank you though. That to reflect and to do what we can to reject rituals of that nature and to develop rituals and to act towards people in our society totally opposite of that, and to act as a way, certainly we do here at CRC. So these are a couple different ways to look at these rituals and to try and take what we can that's good, whether it be through rejection or understanding some modifications, and to develop a way of acting in our own Torah towards each other that is what we would call much more equal and much healthier. Thank you.
So thank you, Larry. Thank you for those texts, for that Torah, for the reminder of how important being subversive is, though I feel like at CRC, maybe we need that reminder a little less than, The other read, this comes from Nechama Leibowitz, the Orthodox feminist Israeli womanist scholar, Torah teacher. What she points out is that this ritual of the sota, this ritual where someone, a woman who is suspected of adultery, has to go through this terrible public shaming, right? And drink this magical formula. That if she doesn't die from the magical formula, she's always proven innocent. Which is to say that she's always proven innocent. Because the formula never hurts you, right? And so Nechama Leibowitz picks this up, and what she says is exactly, I think, what you were getting at, which is this idea that when the whole system is built and structured against you, we have to find these ways to be subversive, sometimes even as much as we want to blow it all up from the outside, that sometimes the real power is how we can subvert it from the inside. So thank you for that teaching and for that Torah. And with the Torah out, we take a moment for Misha Berach L'Cholim, a prayer for healing. A prayer that we can find some way of subverting all the brokenness and all the pain, all the suffering and all the illness. We know there's not always the possibility of a cure, but there is always the hope of healing.
So a few names of people we're sending blessings to, and then if you have someone, we'll have people share at the end. Here I have Meredith Berkowitz, Debbie Gordon, Martin Fay, Ellen Holtzman Langston, Eileen Ehrlich, Eleanor Levy, Joan Butcher, Sherry Kroner, Debbie Zarinsky, Mary Holtz, Linda Randall, Amy Schumacher, Sandy Loyman, Norma Sherman, Jordan Kronemer, Rachel Neubauer-Bogart, David Schlesinger, Robert and Andrew Shepard, Florence Honickman, Rabbi Bert Jacobson, Raina Bot-Ruth, Mary Chris Prost, and Maya Nagel. Are there other names people would like to share for healing? Yeah, we'll start in the back. Thanks, Mel. Sarah.
Hey.
Oh, no. Oh.
Oi, oi, oi.
Yeah. Thanks, Sarah. Are there other names? Yeah. Oh. Oh. Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else on this side? Okay, in the back. Thank you. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you. Denise? Okay. Thanks. Yeah. For Randy.
Yeah, for Randy, for his mom, for their whole family.
Yeah. Yeah, please. Thank you. Yeah, Sarah? Mhm. Thank you. Did I miss anybody? Oh, yeah, please. Thank you. Yeah, Dick. And Anita. Lots of people to send healing blessings for.
Michael, do we have names on the stream? For Mary.
Okay. We are on page 34.
Mishebera avotenu mikor abrecha leimotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misheberach imotenu mikor abrecha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. We say Baruch Atah Adonai Rofeh HaCholim. Blessed is the source of goodness and holiness in this world. that calls us to be agents of healing. We say amen. Neon, can we call you and your whole crew you got going on right there up to dress and put away the Torah?
We're going to be on page 90.
מחזיקים בה ותומכיה מיושה דרכיה דרכי נועם וכל נתיבותיה השיבנו אדוני אליך ונשובה חדש חדש ימינו חדש ימינו Page 93. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, la'tekedu la'liotzer breshit, shelo asanu ki goyei haratzot, velo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, וגורלנו כחומונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוצר הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובה מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, הם מלכנו אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום והשבות אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. You may be seated as we turn to page 96. We take a moment to acknowledge those in our community who are in mourning. Start with the yahrzeits we have this week, the anniversary of those we have loved and lost. Cecilia Rothberg, who is Susan Block's mom, Dina Lipsitz and Harry Lesser, Jan Nelson and Linda Skranka, Pearl Goodman, Rabbi Jim's mom, Phyllis Arnoff and Phyllis Bloom, Sidney Bayer and William Weiss, and Carl's dad, Florette Patz and Fran Sherman, Louis Patz and Milton Schreiber, Sheldon Levy and William Gillespie, Arthur Guller, H. David Daniel, Hillary Englehart's dad, and Edward Lander. Vicky, your dad, have a blessed memory. Joseph Weil and Leslie Wayne Duncan. For Arthur Hermelin and Bernard Ross. For Bert Sherman and Hannah Levy. For Manuel Schwartz and Marion Berkowitz and Michelle Newman. For Robert Brooker and Rosalind Moss and William Patton. For Elizabeth Cohn and Leonard Lewis and Moses Weiler. For Walter Ehrlich, Steve and Jerry's dad, and for Dahlia Rosen. For Emma Sperling and James Austin. For Rose, stand for your mom. For Shirley Frank and Susan Waxman, Elaine Amitton's sister. For Thomas Peck and Adele Keller. For David Kaskowitz and Dorothy Wortman. For Jeanette Deitch, Philip's mom, and Lee Scheinbart. For Lottie Rosenblum and Sarah Grohlman. For Sydney Arnold and Trudy Hyman. For Virginia Roshbaum. And those we've lost this year. For William Levinson and Leslie Duncan. For Miriam Fields and Larry Mange. For Ruth Rosenberg, Roberta Craven. For Bear. For Clarence Bear Robinson, and for Paul Schumer. For Daniel Williams, for Patty Twellman and Bruce Schneider. For Chuck Zierfast and Lindy Lichterman. For Stuart Milner, Joanne Rogers and Marta Vainberg. For Nikki Nymark and Lois Chait. For David Adelstein, the beloved husband of Harriet and dad of Cheryl. For Bert Newman and Gloria Sirkin, Nancy's mom. For your mom. For Marie Sculler, Margie, for your dad. For Harvey Fenster and Joyce Steinberg. For Claude Lewis and Ann Epstein. For Lois Loomstein and Bobby Sparks. And Ben Neiman and Jerome Meadow. For Paul Michel. For your beloved husband. For Harry Prince, for Marcy Horowitz, and Gary Weil. For Toby's cousin, Francis Rothschild, and a friend of ours from Cincinnati. For Leah Larson, and Harriet Zimmerman. For Marcia Wofsy and George Spooner. For Moisey, for Dr. Moisey Shopper, and for Sue Smith, Carl's wife, and for Marjorie Shepard, and Beverly McWilliams. For Matt Blickenstaff, of a blessed, blessed memory. And Josephine Del Priori, Josette Hockman's mom, and Angela and Ben's grandma, and Emily's grandma, and Angela's grandma-in-law, but I sort of feel like you just become a grandma. And for Aaron Coleman. And those names in this room we're thinking of, those folks we're saying Kaddish for. Neon. For your grandfathers. Lisa, of a blessed, blessed memory. Sarah? Because Toby isn't here, so to say Kaddish for her sister and her cousin. Thank you for doing that. For Michael Goldberg, of a blessed memory. Ugh. Awful. Awful. For those who know Dr. Noble, the principal of Live for Life, this is her son who passed away just yesterday. Vicky. For your dad. so sorry. Zichronah livracha. Wow. Wow, of a blessed memory. Thank you for sharing a piece of him and his memory and his light in this room. Michael? Rose and Wanda.
Caleb Schwartz.
And for Caleb Schwartz, for those who don't know, David Schwartz grew up here in St. Louis. I'm blanking on his parents' names. Jenny, do you remember his parents' names?
They go to Emmanuel.
They go to Emmanuel. They used to go to UH. But David's son, Caleb, died at the age of 10 this week. So of a blessed memory, just a beloved family that we know from Peoria with deep St. Louis roots. Thanks, Sarah. Thank you. Did we miss anyone? Let's invite everyone as we are able to rise, as we literally stand shoulder to shoulder with our mourners, to remind them that even though the only way through grief is through it, that they don't walk this alone. Page 96. Yit Gadal, V'yit Kadash, Shemei Rabbah, Be'alma Divra Chute, V'yamlich Malchute, V'chayichon U'vyomechon, U'v'chaye Dechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala U'vizman Kariv V'imru. Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah Mevarach Le'olam U'lamei Almaya. Yitbarach V'yishtabach V'yitpa'ar V'yitromam V'yitnaseh. V'yithadar V'yitalev V'yithalach Shemei Dekudusha Barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'imru. Shalom, b'imromav, u'yaseh shalom, aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru. Amen. Zichronam livracha, may the memories of all those that we miss, may they be a blessing in our lives. And we say,
Amen.
Amen.
You may be seated. We have a
Couple quick announcements. Just as we're ending the Mourners Kaddish, we don't have grief group today, right, Jamie? Oh, we do have grief group today. I was going to give you a plug for it, and it wasn't today, but it is today, and it's not in our announcement. So I'm glad that, the amazing Jamie Sentnor leads our grief group, which I can't tell you how many folks I speak to who tell me how powerful and how supportive that space has been for them. So thank you for doing that. It's a really remarkable thing. There are these words in Hebrew and Yiddish, yichus and nachas. Do you all know these words? right? But they actually kind of, when you think of them together, they're great because they work in opposite directions. Nachas is like the pride and the joy you get from the next generation. And yichus is the pride and the honor that you get from the people you come from. And only in a family like Jamie's, where, you know, she leads grief group and she's been a part of this community for how long, and she's married to the treasurer of the synagogue, God love him, talk about a thankless job. Only in her family could they be the forgotten generation because of how amazing her mother Joy is, and you're like incredible kids. So yichus and nachas, right? It's what we all want. It's what we all want. She said today's grief group is also about Bryn leaving tomorrow.
That's her daughter.
But Bryn's going to amazing things to go act for a living, and I mean, just incredible.
Yeah.
But also a nice reminder that grief is broader than just death and just that sort of loss. So thank you. Thank you for your work.
After services, if you want to stay, we're going to play some board games. If you want to stay.
Yeah, so for those who have not played any of the new board games in the last 10, 15, 20 years, no, really, like there has been...
Don't worry, Daniel's bought every single one of them.
Yeah.
We own them all now.
This is like a golden era of adult board games. I mean, kids can play them too, but they're not Candyland. Incredible, thoughtful, interesting, experimental. You can tell I love these things. I make my family play with me all the time. And I've tried to get my parents to play, but they just roll their eyes. However, you don't need to know any of these. You don't need to have ever played any of these. Come and join us. It's a blast. Right after services.
Okay, and then the last one is on Monday, June 12th. We have a session on abortion and the ballot initiative process. You have to register on our website in order to get the location. So if you want to go, register, and then you'll find out where it is. It's not here.
For those who maybe followed this story and didn't follow it all the way, the Missouri legislature this session failed to gut the initiative petition process. Which means, this is huge news, right?
It's a good thing.
What this means, though, is that Missourians will still be able to vote on ballot initiatives to change the Constitution with just a 50% vote for it to pass. So what this session will be about is looking to put a ballot initiative on the ballot for the 2024 election that would make abortion not just legal in Missouri, but would make abortion available and accessible in a way that it has not been for a long, long time in Missouri. For those, I think most folks know, but CRC was founded to be a community committed to abortion rights, to reproductive justice. So this is a ballot initiative very close to our heart. You need to register for the location because of security reasons.
And there's one more. The garden is in full swing. We need garden volunteers. The time is moving till 6 to 8 because of the heat. So if you're around on Sundays from 6 to 8, we would love your help in our garden. They've been donating, I think they've already donated like 200 pounds of collard greens to Trinity Food Pantry. So it's really amazing work that they do, and we need all the help we can get to keep it going.
Elisa. You do not have to be 18 to go that. I can promise you if you walk into that room, you will be celebrated.
Just register, because I'm sure there's all kinds of security of who's going and stuff. And Sarah.
Do you have to be 18? Look, you're in a row. You're like the teen organizers of Missouri right here in this row.
Sarah, do you have one last one?
We're collecting hygiene products for folks with menstrual needs.
Yes, and for their also local outreach that they do for the unhoused, and they're checking on them.
Collections for things for the unhoused. I'm just repeating this for the folks on the stream. Yep.
Narcan available. They also clean T-shirts.
Looking for clean T-shirts for folks. So we're collecting all sorts of donations and socks.
And there are also the standing requests for medical.
And speaking of which, I believe This is the bullet-related injury clinic that's collecting these brick. Thanks, Sarah.
Thanks, Sarah. Thank you. Okay.
Okay.
Kiddush?
Shall we give each other a bless? Oh, yeah.
Do Kiddush.
Oh, yeah. Check out the Deli Divine in the Delmar Divine, which is
It's
quite
been
good.
Karimba's new restaurant.
And there's like 6 kinds of herring, so you know it's really a quality deli. And all sorts of kugels. Hey, a thank you to our teen tech crew back there, including next week's bar mitzvah Miles, who's back there.
He won't be in there next week.
Who else is back there? Oh, and Reggie's back there, and Michael's back there, and is there anyone else back there? Oh yeah, they're throwing a party. Exactly. You have no idea what's happening on the stream right now. It's no, thank you to the amazing teen tech crew who make services happen. And actually, last night Michael was off for his birthday, and somehow this didn't trickle down to communications with us, which is a different issue. But you know, and the teens were here, and they were able to just jump in and do it. It was amazing, right? So thank you to those who make that program possible, and all the teens and parents who make it possible. And let's give each other a blessing, shall we?
Let's start with Kiddush. So,
Yeah, so
at a
please,
little-
as you're able, please rise.
Let's have Larry come up here, and Allison and Haley, you want to come back up for a minute? You don't have to say anything. You can just stand up here. I won't make you speak. But,
Okay, and Jenny Mann, we're going to make you come up here too. So Jenny Evans, I did it again, yeah.
So to add a little more sweetness to this amazing day where we've celebrated so many people, we say a blessing over wine. Come on. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen.
And because there is always enough to share, if we just share it, Jenny, I won't make you, my fellow celiac, do the motzi, but we'll have the two of you
We're gonna hold it for a
hold
second.
this.
We'll sing it together.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Someone's got to take a bite of
Someone
it.
has to eat a bite. Larry.
We put our arms around each other for one more blessing.
We're gonna say the blessing from this week's Torah portion again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha.
Oh, may God bless us all and guard us and help us achieve the best we can be.
Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka. May we take some of the light of this amazing place, right? Where else can a community like this come together except for CRC? May we take some of this light and refract it out into the world. Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom.
And may we be blessed with the most precious gift of peace. May we have more peace in our heart, in our lives, in our communities, and in our world. And we say amen.
Amen.
Shabbat shalom.
And may everyone stay for the board games.
Congratulations. Thank you. For coming back. Y'all are great. It's so good to see you.
Don olam Hashem alach b'terem kol yetzir nivra, li nasa b'chefzako, zay melech shemo